Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell. Not to be confused with this Color Atlas and synopsis of sexually transmitted diseases, which in a lot of ways is actually more entertaining than Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas contains elements of a whodunit mystery, but really, when you think about it, there's no greater mystery in need of a satisfying whodunit than syphilis. Ugh. Cloud Atlas is a bastard of a book, and possibly quite literally. I know that if I were the parent of this book, I wouldn't hesitate to drop it off at the nearest dumpster and or orphanage. Probably not necessary to include both of those conjunctions in that previous sentence, as I can't imagine there ever being a dumpster and an orphanage, except for maybe like abandoned rats, parents who didn't want their rat children. I don't know, I'm getting off topic here. Anyway, Cloud Atlas boo. Cloud Atlas reads like David Mitchell's writing resume. He gets so caught up in showcasing his versatility with writing that he kind of forgets about the actual stories that it is he needs to tell. It's almost as though he is applying for a job that really doesn't exist. So it says here, Mr. Mitchell, you can write in a variety of styles, good, and dialects, including Southern slave era black gentleman, high-class publisher, pretentiousness, and dystopian future corporate infused jargon. Oh, that's very good. Can you operate a forklift? Okay. The structure of the book is what most people talk about when they talk about the book, which right away should be a warning sign as to how good the book actually is. If the flash and glamour of the book, the visuals, the aesthetics are outweighing the actual stories themselves, then you've got a problem. And that's what the case is here. We've got 6 separate narratives all kind of going at the same time. Interesting enough, a lot of people have done it before, a lot of people have done it very successfully, but what does Cloud Atlas do differently? Well, it breaks up the narratives at seemingly arbitrary points, only to revisit those narratives at the second half of the book. So for the first half, you're getting 6 different narratives, you're getting the beginning of 6 different narratives. The middle, you've got kind of a band-aid, kind of a meshing of those, of the past, of the earlier storylines, along with what will become the future versions of those storylines, or the extended versions of those storylines. And then, of course, you've got the latter half, which is those extended versions of the storylines. Now, the reason why this didn't work for me is because there's nothing about the first portions of the stories that really create enough of a draw for me to really continue reading. The only reason I kept reading as far as I did is because I've heard from so many other people that you've got to stick with it. Once everything makes sense, once everything clicks, then boom, it's just going to turn on a light and you're going to love the book. The problem there is that, is this a book that could be read had I not had those outside influences? And I would say probably not. I would have read the first half of the book and realized that every single one of those narratives, while mildly interesting in their own right, don't go anywhere. There's no resolution at all. It's this outside influence that is forcing me or encouraging me to continue. So I did for a good portion of the book. In fact, this is probably the latest in any book that I've ever decided, it's not for me, I'm quitting. And as you can see by this little bookmark section here, I am I don't think the focus, there we go. I am well past the halfway mark, almost to the very end of the book. As you can see, I think there were maybe 70 or so pages left out of a 500 plus page book when I decided I'm done. Now there is, as I'm sure many of you know, a movie adaptation of this book that recently came out about a month or so ago, half a month ago. I was not aware of this movie version when I started reading the book. I'd had this on my shelf for a while. It finally got it to the top of the to-read pile, so I took a dive. I was about 40 or so pages into it when someone told me about the movie version, so I thought, let's check this out. Let's see if maybe this will help me ground myself into the story and help me become more involved with it. What's really interesting, and I think it's a testament to the potential for 6 different narratives, is that when I watched the trailer, and anyone who read the beginning of this book before watching the trailer can attest as well, that they did not seem like they were from the same source material. I mean, the trailer, the movie trailer, the movie teaser, the movie preview, whatever you want to call it, is full of very futuristic concepts and cool imagery and just a very cool look to it. While the first half of the book really is absolutely the opposite of that. It's either set in sort of a contemporary, posh kind of lifestyle. There's a publisher, is one of the characters, a book publisher, who feels as though he leads a pretty posh lifestyle. The beginning of the book takes place on an old ship that seems as though it's hunting for treasure, I think, if I remember right. So very, very different than what I was seeing in the trailer, and that alone made me think, wow, this book should be something I should continue with, because something crazy is going on here. Something is happening. Well, the images from the trailer do appear in the book, but not in any sort of satisfying, mind-blowing kind of way. Not what I was hoping for, anyway. So, Cloud Atlas. Read it or don't read it. I'm going to get some flack for this, but I'm going to say don't read it. There's other things to read. Pass up on this book. Maybe if you're in a bookstore, take a gander at a few of the passages, just to kind of see if it maybe speaks to you in some way. But it's just such an arbitrarily structured novel that I couldn't, in all good faith, recommend it. The structure itself is interesting, but in the end, it's just completely unnecessary. These storylines could have been just placed sequentially in a linear fashion. You could have had 6 novellas all packaged together in one book, and you probably would have gotten the same, or perhaps even a greater effect. It's just an arbitrarily torn apart book, honestly. Color Atlas and Synopsis of Sexually Transmitted Diseases. Read it or don't read it. Read it. It's mind-blowing. In a very, very terrible way. Almost as terrible as literally having your mind blown. This is second to that.